What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Bulls Roundtable. Man, today we are honored to have our guys, J Talk Soup, Justin, and Sal Bass from Horns Over Who. Both of them do the Bulls on Tap podcast. We're sure you've seen them already. So we got them with us tonight, man. How you guys doing?
Can't complain, man. Doing good.
Yes, sir.
Real good, man. I got tornado sirens going off in my subdivision, but rain, shine, tornado. I wanted to talk some Bulls. So
thank you, man. Yeah, we're glad to have you.
Yeah, appreciate you guys hopping on, man. And I would also never miss a Bulls party. So again, glad to have a little collab action with On Tap. And I don't know about tornado sirens, but I got two German shepherds right now, so pretty close, honestly, in terms of the noise level when they get upset.
Absolutely. All right. Well, yeah, Mike. I know, like, so for everyone who knows that Mike does our outline, so Mike's going to be steering the ship here. But if you guys want to start off, like I said, I'm sure everybody knows you, but if you guys want to start off and just introduce yourselves, Justin and Sal.
Yeah, so my name's Justin, aka J Talks Hoops. You guys might know me from the daily walk-in talks that I do. You might know me from being the co-host of Bulls on Tap with my guy Sal over here. If you're not following either of those, make sure you do.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Right on. I'm Sal Bass. I started off as, and still am, one of the hosts of the Horns Over Hoops podcast. I do that show with my three best friends from school. I write for Bulls on Tap. Haven't wrote an article in a while, but I want to get back in that. But I also co-host Bulls on Tap with that dude to my left here, incredible guy, and we try to do the best we can.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and when it comes to writing articles about the Bulls these days, it can be a little bit of a slog. Just these last few weeks, not the full season, so not missing out on too much there. But I guess I might as well get right into it since I mentioned the slog of the Bulls. I went to Bulls Pacers last night with my family. Was a ton of fun answering every 5 minutes. Who's that? Who's that? Who's that? Patrick Williams is there. That was my favorite of the night. Patrick Williams is on the team because my mom was kind of concerned. She said she hadn't seen him for a while, thought maybe he was sick or torn ACL. And I was like, no, it's all performance and job related. You know, that's why you don't see him, Mom, unfortunately. But a lot of fun, giving up 145 points to a 58-loss team. Just want to see, I know it's a little tough, but do you guys have any general thoughts about last night's game?
Nothing that's remotely positive. I mean, it might be a stretch to some, but that was genuinely one of the most embarrassing performances I've ever seen. Like, anybody who thinks the Bulls are somewhat close, and I know we didn't have Josh Giddey and we sat out Yabusele, and you can make whatever excuses you want, but the Pacers were playing Pascal Siakam and a bunch of G League guys, and they whooped our ass. So if you think it's close, if you think we're not that far away, last night should have been pretty eye-opening for you.
Valid. Yeah. So,
I mean, I'm going to piggyback right off of that and say we had the fortune of playing the Spurs, a team that's amongst the elites in the NBA and in the West right now, got our ass whooped. And then we went around and played the Pacers, same outcome. So it just goes to show you there is a lot of work to do on this roster. Now, that's not to say we can't make a few crucial moves and be back into relevancy and all this is just a bad dream. But for the time being, it's not looking too good. It's not looking great, man.
I hear you. And like we were talking about before the episode, started, just thank you guys for being honest about that. I feel like I don't gotta say I'm not the only one who feels that way, but just as we talked about, man, like I feel like this Bull season is just, we got so many twists and turns, and it feels like taboo right now to even be able to say like, hey, our team's bad. Kind of feels like we're in a cult at times, like if you say we're bad and if you call it out, you might get called out for calling out the truth these days. So thank you for coming on here and speaking honestly for us.
And also, I will say that passion is kind of what makes the Bulls so great.
There's them German shepherds.
They don't agree. They don't think anything is great right now. It makes them upset, even the mention of it. But it's just one of those things. Once the Bulls do build a winner, if that day ever comes, I think you see what type of fan base you'll be getting, which is why I am kind of shocked they can't attract free agents, even with the elephant in the room as far as ownership goes. You would think just with the fan base I don't even think they're starved for wins. They're just starved for entertainment. So I feel like it's a very low bar to clear, but I have a lot of hope. This isn't something I plan to bring up, but I was just thinking of it. Seeing Wemby kind of just lay waste to us, which we expected with the Bulls, a team that doesn't really believe in big men. For them to be successful one day, do you guys think the Bulls necessarily need a true center, quote unquote, just like a hulking 7-footer? Or do you think they can sort of make way with sort of more mobile 6'8", 6'9" guys to play Billy ball?
I think your dogs are telling us that they need a true 7-footer because they were getting louder when you said 6'8", 6'9". Maybe that's what they're saying too. They might be saying we need some dogs, but yeah, I think we need some legitimate size. We need legitimate athleticism. I don't know who that center is out there. Like those don't grow on trees. Those are hard assets to find. But yeah, the Bulls have needed like a modern NBA 5 for a decade now. Like Wendell Carter Jr. kind of has become that in Orlando, but he wasn't that for the Bulls. Nikola Vucevic, good player, wouldn't call him like the modern day 5 you can really build a winning team around. So yeah, I think that's like the main priority this offseason.
Yeah, I follow suit with him because I've been watching basketball since the 90s, and in the 90s, if you were a center south of 7 feet, you weren't a center, you were a power forward. So I come from a line of like your center is the big guy, stands under the hoop, rim protector, grabs the boards, and is the intimidator, boxes out. Like I came from that era, so and I feel like that's a lot of what we are lacking on this team right now. And like Justin said, we really hadn't had a player that fits that mold in quite some time now. So it'd be good to maybe prioritize that and see if maybe just a little bit of spark down low gets a ball rolling a different direction. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Speaking of a little spark down low, just anything about the lottery balls and that Portland pick. So shout out to our guy Pads in the comments. No, this is not BWB tonight, Pads. Me and Sal will be there with you boys tomorrow night. Actually, we got Zachary Draves coming on with us tomorrow night. So shout out to him. He writes for Clutch Points. That'll be a fun episode. We're gonna dive into a lot of stuff there. But yeah, you might want to go back to sleep, Pads.
And sort of as we bounce off of that to the sort of next thing here, how have you guys felt about the vibe of the season in general? This is the first time me and Guilty have kind of had another show on, so to speak. It's been kind of obviously split into two halves with, I don't know, kind of what you want to call the first half of the season, then completely blowing it up at the deadline. I think you kind of touched on it, Justin. I'm struggling with, would you say the Bulls are in a good spot? Like, obviously, I know they're not in some amazing spot, but then I do feel like they're not in the worst spot in the world, considering obviously you own your own pick. They're not like stripped of a ton of first rounders moving forward. They finally tried to gain extra picks, went with second rounders, which wasn't not exactly what I would do, but it's a start. Would you say that the Bulls are in a good spot? Because I think that's the main argument I see between the so-called pessimists and optimists among Bulls fans.
I mean, I guess it depends on how you value what they currently have on the roster. Like some people are convinced that Modest Buzelis is going to be an all-NBA player no matter what. Like no matter how much you try to tell them, like, hey, that means he's top 15, the league he's playing in right now, the peers at his position. Like that's saying a lot because it's a very talented league and he plays a very talented position. Some people are super high on Josh Giddey. I'm a little more pessimistic about how you build a roster around him. And then like the draft picks, it's nice to have control of your draft picks, but I don't know like what the direction is. If anything, the trade deadline made me less optimistic about this team because you would look at those moves and you would say, okay, we're starting a rebuild. We're prioritizing not making the play in this year for once. Like we want to lose games to try to get a better draft pick, get better odds. But then you're making a move for Yabusele. You're making a move for Nick Richards, 2 veteran 5s, because you still want to play somewhat winning basketball under Billy Donovan. Like all of it didn't really make sense. And that's when you say, are the Bulls in a good spot going forward? Maybe, but to be in a good spot going forward, to have confidence in your direction going forward, you needed to have a direction going forward. And I just don't feel like this regime really knows what their direction is going forward.
Valid.
Yeah, I mean, where there is a lot to be pessimistic about, I mean, I'm going to say that there's a lot of upside here. Obviously, controlling your own pick and us being in a position where that might be a really, really good pick in a draft class that's got a lot of talented players in it. I know a lot of the times that the Bulls have had a quality opportunity to snag a top pick, the draft pool just wasn't there. Like the talent, there was some studs, but never this deep. So anytime you have a draft pool where you are in an opportunity to pick up a player that could potentially change the direction of your franchise. It's a huge upside. Not only that, we also have a lot of money coming up in this offseason. We have, I believe it was 8 free agents coming up. That's a lot of money that's coming off the table. And we're put in a good opportunity because we have seen these players, what is it now, 20, 30 games, minus a couple. We've seen these players 20 games. You know more or less who you want to keep. You got a good shot at it. You're able to let them walk. Now you're not even bounded by a contract. I can let you walk. It ain't going to cost me anything. And not only that, you can also re-sign the players who you did like, and you have this cap space going for it. Now I know the free agency pool this year is kind of mediocre at best. We'll just say there's not a lot of free agents that stand up, but that's also indicative of this isn't going to be a 1-year rebuild. It's going to take some time to get back to that level. All we need to do is stack the pieces that we can stack as quickly as possible. That doesn't mean just grab the first player that you can grab because he agreed to a contract. Just keep one goal in mind and keep slowly marching towards that goal, because I don't want to see ourselves in the play-in for the next 4 or 5 years.
Me neither.
I mean, I think I'm weirdly starting to lean a little bit more with the optimists, I guess you could call it. I've been in the middle. It's mostly just because of Matas. I myself has always thought of Matas as defensive stopper who can do a little bit of scoring. So maybe he's interesting as a third, fourth piece type guy. But this year, when he went for his career high against Golden State, obviously he's not going against Draymond. He's going against Guy Santos and some lesser names and things. But it was more just the fact that he took enough shots to get to 40-something points, that he looked like a guy who wanted to be a first scoring option. A lot of that stuff is what we talk about with Patrick Williams is based off of mentality. So I just think it's one of those things where I called Matas and next year, if the Bulls were to get DeBanster or Peterson, I said Matas would be an overqualified second scoring option, in my opinion. And I got a lot of pushback on Twitter, which I expect because, again, Matas has improved a lot, so I definitely understand it. But I think if you look post All-Star break when the Bulls tore this team down to, the studs, Matas is, I think, pretty much close to like a 20-point per game score. The 3-point percentage is taking a dip because he's really getting aggressive with how he's firing away from deep. But it's one of those things where I think there are clear signs that he is a 18 to 23 point a game guy. It's just about the opportunity. If Matas is a guy who can carry a first or second scoring option type load, I think that changes the equation quite a bit for the Bulls. If we assume they're adding 2 legitimate starters in these next 2 drafts. So I think I'm leaning into they're in a lot better spot than people are seeing. But of course, the big elephant in the room is, do I trust the man who will be making these draft picks that are so integral to the success of the franchise? So it's very tough because AK is just a mixed bag with his draft record. You love Dosunmu, you love Matas, you don't understand what is Dalen Terry. There's a lot of stuff all over the place. So I think this class is pretty close to as foolproof as you can get when you're in that, top 10, top 11-ish range. So I feel pretty good about the spot they're in. We'll see how this all blows up and falls in my face in the offseason. But I'm very much optimistic just because of the draft lottery. Sal mentioned the money. I think it could be a factor, but unfortunately, just from what I base off of the Bulls, I think that, people talk to me about them overpaying for a restricted free agent. It's just not the Bulls' MO. I just don't see the Bulls outbidding anyone or going so high that another team gets scared to keep their guys. So if they use that money, I think it's going to be on some stuff that people don't like bringing back Colin Sexton, who to his credit has been great as a Bull. Someone asked, would they keep Anthony Simons in our comment? Yeah, I don't believe so, but that's one of those things where maybe the Bulls like him a lot more than we think, although he hasn't played a lot, and they earmark some money for that. So I don't think there are going to be as many dramatic roster changes in terms of free agent additions, but I just feel better because of that. I think I trust the Bulls more to just add young players who don't cost a lot, sort of build from there. So I do have a lot more optimism, than I expected for sure, I would say.
Piggybacking off what you just said about Buzelis too, that 41-point game, that was awesome. I loved watching it. And it makes me think about what Ousmane Dieng did last night, because he had a big game. He had 36 points, 10 rebounds, or was it 10 assists, 7 rebounds, something like that. Either way, big game. But people were like, well, it took 31 shots for him to get that. I'm not impressed. And I was like, people really discount the fact that being able to unload the clip like that, being able to shoot 31 times in a game to create 31 shot opportunities for yourself, that's a skill in and of itself, even if they don't go in. And that's what I want to see more of from Modest Buzelis these last couple of games is empty the clip, man. Like last night against the Pacers, he should have taken 31 shots. They had nobody to defend him, and he looked kind of passive. There's times where he's not looking for his offense, and I just want to see him empty the clip a little bit more.
I agree.
And I'm glad you brought up Ousmane Dieng. Do you think it was a mistake that the Bulls got rid of him?
Yeah. Yeah, it made no sense. He's 22 years old. He's a former lottery pick. He's 6'10". He's got a good looking shooting stroke. Like, I know the shooting numbers have been up and down with the Bucks, but this is also the first time in his entire career he's played any kind of consistent minutes. And I know Hayes likes to say, like, well, we got Leonard Miller and you couldn't play both of them. And I'm like, I don't know, man. My philosophy is just like, you can never have enough big athletic dudes who, if they can shoot, it's a bonus. If they can handle the ball, it's a bonus. And he's young. Like, why just take positions out of it for a second? Why would you ever trade a 22-year-old for a 28-year-old when you know that 28-year-old is at best a third string center on a playoff team? Like, I'll never understand the move.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree. And I just think the cool, like you said, man, like people said like they wouldn't have had playing time, but we're the Bulls. Like, you worry about that later. Let's get the talent in the door first. And I think that, again, like you said, you just can't go wrong with having big dudes. And Dieng, they're two different kind of players too. I keep seeing that. It's not just Hayes. There's a lot of people that say like, oh, well, he wouldn't have played over Leonard Miller anyway. I think they could have played at the same time, but they have two different skill sets. I feel like Dieng is more of an outside threat, like for sure. Like, you're leaving him out on the perimeter to jack up some outside looks, and he can put the ball on the floor too. Whereas Leonard Miller is slashing more, he's cutting more, he's getting offensive rebounds more, and then he's shooting if he's open. Whereas Dieng, I'm dependent on him for a pick and pop situation. Whereas Leonard Miller, he's crashing the boards a la Javonte Green, but he's 6'10". So there are two different skill sets there. So they definitely could have had both. But I do see I see the viewpoint too of like, you wanted to trade for Nick Richards to kind of gauge how Josh Giddey would play with a rim running big. So I get it, because then they're going to pivot off in the offseason and let you kind of see how the offense looks for a dude that can keep up with Josh. So I would imagine that's the scary part with AK. Like, I could say like, oh, well, we know that's going to be a stopgap center, and then we're actually going to get a real center in the offseason, but we don't know that with AK. He might mess around and actually be like, oh, no, I like Nick Richards. Like, we're like, oh, yeah, you know, he won't be here anyway. Like, it's fine. It's a trial run. And AK's like, it's not a trial run. I like him. I like Nick. So we'll see. I hope that that's not the plan. Like, to me, he's obviously a stopgap center that we actually go out and get a big man or draft a big man, and then Nick Richards is your end of the bench big man, which I don't mind that. I don't mind him in that role at all. I think he'd be very good in that role. Your third or fourth big off the bench. But definitely, I agree with you, Justin, though. Like, I would have preferred that we would have kept Dieng, man. Like, I wasn't that thrilled when I saw we got him, because I'm like, look at this kid, like, little wimp. Pardon me. But then I said, though, like, when I saw highlights, he had an outside shot, and he was like, well, like, he's tall. Isn't he like 6'10" too? He's a big kid.
Like 6'10", yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, well, this could be cool, though. I know the last time I saw a big dude that's 6'10", like with a stroke like that, where I can depend on him to put it up when Josh Giddey kicks it out. So I was looking forward to it, and then we trade him the next day. Like,
and
so
it's one of those
things
things
nice.
too, where if the plan is to build like a bunch of lanky wings around Josh Giddey to cover for his deficiencies, you think that fits the exact mold of the type of guy you're trying to get. So it was kind of shocking that they shipped him out. I have a friend I mention him almost every episode. He's a comedian in Chicago, Peter Bonello. He has been killing me over the Dieng thing. I was like, this kid, who cares? He doesn't play. What do we like? Whatever. He made the exact same point that Justin did. Bulls are in no position to be giving away any young talent. They need to just throw him out there and see what happens. And it's kind of funny seeing Nick Richards continue to kind of be who he's always been, very athletic guy, struggles to hold on to the ball to save his life. So it kind of cuts in half a lot of his offensive production. So it does kind of hurt to see him do the same things. And then Ousmane Dieng had 10 assists, I believe, in that game that Justin's talking about, which I don't really think you can fake 10 assists. It's you can make some easy reads, but it's a guy who's processing the game at a pretty good level for a guy with that size. So I'll eat crow on that one. And that goes back to the AK thing, where even when I try to give the guy like some credit, where it's like, who cares about Dieng? Move doesn't matter. Comes back, we might have gave away a future all-star or something. So it's really getting tough for AK when it's like the hits keep on coming, man. Like Matas becoming an all-NBA player one day could legitimately be his saving grace at this point. So I'm rooting for him in the next few drafts, obviously, because I think AK has some real good chances to get some great players, especially if he keeps going with his archetype, which is a guy who's 6'9", 6'10". In this draft, as long as the Bulls stay in that, 1 through 9 range, I think it'll be okay. Now, if the Bulls fall down to 11, everyone will need to get ready to learn Kareem Lopez, which I'm not sure if Bulls fans know who that is, but definitely get ready to learn some NBL, because I think if we know anything about AK, he loves the International League prospects. But as long as the Bulls stay in that top 9 NCAA player, I think we can all sleep well at night. But when you look at that Ousmane Dieng, just like that move as well, it makes me even more nervous about the draft, because again, it's like, what's going into your decision making with these moves? Nick Richards hasn't been great, I don't think. I don't think they need to make it a priority to resign him because, you made the decision to keep him. But I think the Bulls' past moves have shown that AK kind of likes to double down to prove that his move was correct. So I think you can expect to see Nick Richards resign. So I'm really interested to see kind of what Billy said, which is there a plan? Because we all would definitely like to see it.
I love that Billy said it too.
Yeah. So pretty much he put it out in the open. Yeah. And it's one of those things where I guess we might as well talk about him since I brought him up. Do you guys think any the smoke around Billy leaving? Do we think that's legitimate right now? Do we buy it?
Yeah, I think it was a national podcast today. They had a college dude, Pat Ford, on there, and he was saying back in Billy's Florida days, there was smoke that the only other college job he would take is Carolina. So where there's smoke, there's fire, man. All these Carolina Billy rumors, apparently it's been going on for 2 decades now. So it might actually be happening.
Yeah.
2 decades is crazy.
And you got to kind of ask yourself, if you're a coach like a Billy Donovan and you're used to winning your entire life, you've won 2 national titles, you go to the Oklahoma City Thunder, you almost get it, but then you take a job with the Chicago Bulls, it didn't really quite work out the way you intended. Is that the way you really want to go out, where you can take a step down into the NCAA, take whatever knowledge that you got from the NBA, make your team that much better? Because we know UNC knows how to get their guys. They're an elite school. They know how to get the players, and they have a coach like Billy Donovan who can take what he learned in the NBA and make players that much better. It just adds to his legacy. I don't think a coach who's in the Hall of Fame for coaching caliber like a Billy Donovan wants the end of his career to be a 20-win season with the Chicago Bulls. So I think it's a very real possibility.
I hope not, man.
It's kind of weird. The reason I buy the smoke is a reason I don't think Billy himself would ever admit. Everyone likes to be told they're good at their job. I think the way the national media and critics talk about Billy Donovan as an NBA coach is so dramatically different from the reception he'll get if he's back in college. I think that means a lot to him. And at some point, hearing how he's a average coach who, won't make you too good, won't make you too bad, not good at ATOs, I think he probably gets tired of that to some extent, more than he would like to admit. And I don't think it matters if he's coaching Iona. If he goes back to college, it's like Billy Donovan, the 2-time champion, the back-to-back Hall of Famer. Even for the fans who coaches act like they don't care about, but again, they see just like the players. Fans are like, there's Billy Donovan, excellent coach. I can't even type Billy on Twitter without Bulls fans jumping down my throat and saying, what are you talking about? So the reception is so different for him when it's the college game. I think he might sort of miss that praise just as much as a player does. So it's tough to be the guy who's in charge of managing a sinking Bulls ship, and then kind of no one wants to give you credit for trying to hold everything together. Because I think another good point that, with all the craziness going around with the Bulls right now, we haven't heard anyone but Billy really speak on it.
Good point. How do you guys feel about that? We just had this conversation the other day. I know, so shout out to my boy Kurtz. He brought it up, and I think a number of you brought it up in there, but we were saying you would want to see AK speak up on the Jaden Ivey situation. And we'll get into that later, but just any, it doesn't have to be the Jaden Ivey situation, any tumultuous situation in general, you would expect the guy in charge of it all to come and speak up on behalf. But instead, who do we have? We have Billy Donovan out there who's doing a wonderful job. He always does. I say that a lot. For all his flaws, Billy Donovan articulates his points so well. And it's very transparent. So, he's handled it with grace. Trey Jones himself, shout out to our guy Gavin. I think Gavin and Kevin were both there, right, Mike? At the interviews in the press conference, and they got Trey Jones on the mic talking about it, and he handled it super well as well. Everybody except Artūras is handling it well. And again, like to your guys' point, like poor Billy, man, like he's been the scapegoat, and I've been one of the people that's been yelling at him too. So like I feel for him. He's taking the fall for what AK is setting up.
I just feel bad for Billy, man.
You feel bad for him?
I feel bad for him. Like I got a real life metaphor. I'm gonna hit you guys with a little story time here. But so nice. I'm taking this from the angle like Billy is gone. Like I think there's real smoke here. Let's say he actually is taking this Carolina job. Like he has it in his head that he's gone, right? So essentially he's got 2 weeks left on the job. He's put in his 2-week notice. And this is what he has to deal with at his final 2 weeks. I had a job once. I was a security manager at a bar. And my literal last night there, massive fight broke out. I had to stay till 5 a.m. getting interviewed by cops and doing all this stuff. And all I could think is, man, this is my last night here. And I got to deal with this. Like,
that's crazy.
Come on. And that's what Billy Donovan's got to be feeling like, because I'm pretty sure he's got a foot out the door. Like there's so much smoke with the rumors right now that he's going to tell management it's me or AK, and we all kind of know how that conversation is probably going to go. You got the Carolina rumors. Like, I think he's kind of mentally like, okay, just get me through these last 2 weeks. We'll be good. And then boom, Jaden Ivey goes crazy, and now he's got to answer for it instead of the people who are actually responsible for bringing Jaden Ivey here. Like, I don't know how you feel about it, Sal, but I think it's crazy, man.
Yeah. Honestly, like, I think Billy Donovan's saving grace is he's going to have NCAA call, blowing up his phone for another job. So here's the thing for those of the Bulls fans that hate Billy Donovan's coaching tactics, I challenge you to watch his post-game interviews, because when you watch his post-game interviews, you'll hear a coach that does nothing but defend his players, which is exactly a coach that you want to have going forward. Now, I also believe that, there's some benefits in just having a roughneck coach that tells it how it is. Billy Donovan also boosts morale that much more by defending his players and by doing stuff that, like Justin said, why do I even need to do this? You guys traded for the guy. Why am I answering the question on why we had to waive a guy? You know what I mean? Why am I the one doing it? I may not even be here next year, and you're asking me to do it. It just goes to show you that despite the fact that even if he is leaving, he's still finishing the season out strong. He still feels like, hey, I owe it to this city. I owe it to these players. I owe it to everybody watching to finish strong and leave my legacy a good legacy, because once I'm gone, I don't want it to be soiled.
Yeah, he's a good man. Billy is just a stand-up dude, and it's just one of those things where it's like, good girl, wrong time. You know what I mean? Like, if we had a better roster, does it work better with Billy? I just feel like he's up to fail from day one, and it's a problem that's been in Chicago. Even when we had Hoiberg, you don't even got to be a fan of these guys, but to objectively be able to say they never get the rosters that will optimize their philosophies. And I feel like Billy Donovan is kind of going through that here, man. Like, we could say, he had Zach and DeMar and Vooch, but right off the bat, that's a problem. You shouldn't have Zach and DeMar and Vooch. That they don't. You need somebody like I always wanted us to get like a more defensive player with Zach, or if you're going to trade away Zach, get somebody defensive with DeMar. You got 3 negative defensive players in a Billy Donovan system. It's not going to go well. So the dude has never quite had the players that fit his philosophy. Now, granted, even when he has, though, I feel like he could have used his lineups better. But still, it just speaks to a guy that's the whole time he's been here, man, he's been doing the best that he can with what he has been given. And it's not a lot. And like I said, we just had Gavin come through. He's speaking right now. Like he said that we have everybody, talking about it besides the people in charge, and that he appreciates Billy Donovan being open about his coaching decisions. And like that's the name of the game with Billy Donovan is transparency. So I appreciate him for that at least.
And this is very random, but I want to throw this in here. We know a lot of very smart basketball minds, so I'm not talking to some of the people who I know and talk about basketball, but a lot of people say, Billy isn't good at ATOs. He's not good at plays and doesn't draw up stuff. And to some extent, he's, I would say, in my opinion, average at offensive, whatever, out of bounds plays and everything. But the next time on Twitter, people randomly flood me with, Billy is bad at ATOs. I'm going to ask you, what's your favorite ATO? Tell me what your favorite. So be prepared for that. I just want to let people know, because I know a lot of guys will be like, "Oh yeah, horns. I want Billy to run more horn sets." But it's a lot of group thinking basketball discourse where it kind of just becomes what I heard, and it's like, Billy is bad at drawing plays. Yeah, I want a coach who draws better plays. I'm like, tell me what play would you like to see? It's
I know Mark is loving
the one where we get a good shot for Giddey. It's like, yeah, I'm sure Billy likes that play too. Like, you got to have some specifics. Like, the level of coaching it takes to be an NBA head coach, I don't think people understand. Like, the worst head coach is a genius. Jim Boylan, one of the best defensive minds, I think, if you talk to him about defense. But to most people, he's just a punchline because, again, being a head coach, extremely, extremely hard. And I've mentioned this on the last pod, but a coach in the NBA, especially more than any other league, is a chef who's only as good as his ingredients. And it's just like, when they had a decent team, I still have the signed basketball. It feels like Space Jam every time I touch that shit. The signed by Caruso and that team. When they gave Billy some decent players, what happened? They made the playoffs and they got gentlemen swept. And then they got bad players and they lost a bunch of games. So it doesn't seem that hard to me to see what kind of coach Billy is. It just kind of your run-of-the-mill NBA coach. You give him good players, you're going to get good results. But I think for Bulls fans, things have become so crazy the last 3-4 years. You've had sort of 5 different teams almost in that time span. I think all of the timelines have got conflated. And now sort of no one knows what they want at this point. But I do like at least that they pulled the plug on the play-in. I have loved all the memes, seeing the Bulls, Heat, and Hawks, and everybody all
saying goodbye to each other.
Yeah, saying goodbye. So it's good. At least we get an end to that. And for the people who think next year will get a little bit better, I probably got some bad news for you there. But again, that's why when it comes to AK, like, it's not a lot of praise I can give him, but I will say, I think better late than never is still fair given the circumstances. So I don't know. Maybe I'm being too soft on the guy.
Did you see? I was gonna say, when you were, I know you got ready to talk your stuff about Billy, because that's your guy, man. So I was gonna say, I know our guy Mark K will love it. He's in the chat. Did you see what he said? He said, "You've gone too far now, Mike," because you were just spitting facts. I almost spit out my drink, man. But no, like, that's a good point, even for myself, because I've been very adamant about in the past, like, calling out Billy and like saying like, "Oh, he's so unimaginable. He's very uninspirable." But then to your point, it's like, dude, then tell me one play he should run. I'm like, well, I don't know, one of the good ones. So like, that is a very good point for perspective. Like, the worst basketball coach is a genius. So yeah,
because it's kind of always been my thing with Billy is like, I will be like fair to say the one thing I think he does excellently, like if anything, is just guards. He's gonna get some good guard play if you give him some guards, and that's why I kind of want to segue. And I asked you guys this question: like, is Trey Jones' season being a little underrated because the Bulls are so bad as a team? Because it's like, I think a lot of people, if you say Trey Jones is like the best backup point guard in the league or something, or one of the best, someone will be like, yeah, maybe. But I'm like, no, look at the numbers. Like, I really do think he's one of the best.
Would he do this on a different team though, guys?
Oof. That's a good question. That's a fair question. I mean, it is funny because if you ask, like, if you just go on NBA Twitter, right? And we know NBA Twitter is like 90% casuals who aren't really watching the game. If you say, is Trey Jones one of the best backup point guards in the NBA? I guarantee you will get at least 10 people that will say, no, his brother Tyus is better, ignoring the fact that Tyus Jones actually hasn't been a good backup point guard for like 5 years now. Like, it's been a while.
Hey, that's what I said. On our pod, I said that. I'm like, I think Trey's better than Tyus, and they were telling me the opposite.
Been better. Trey's been better for a while.
That's what I thought. Yeah, because even when we played him, when they matched up head to head, Trey would give it to him.
Oh yeah. Tyus has lost a step. I mean, I should mention, I've been watching both of these dudes. They're basically their entire life. I grew up in the same area as them. Their dad used to come into the bar that I worked at. Like, I'm very familiar.
You said that the other night on your pod.
Yeah. Their dad's one of the coolest dudes who ever would come into the bar. We would just talk basketball. But yeah, I've followed both of their careers, so I'm happy to see Trey Jones playing so well. The question Guilty was asking, can he do this on another team, on a playoff team, for instance? It gets difficult because especially in playoff games, they're just hunting mismatches constantly. And Trey Jones is a great off-ball defender, still a little small on the ball, still gets beat on the ball quite a bit. So I would just be scared for him in a playoff environment that he would just get hunted a little too much, and his shooting would, or his lack of outside shooting might become more of an issue in a playoff game than it would in a regular season game. So I still think he would have a role on some of these playoff teams like let's take the Pistons, for instance. Would you rather have Trey Jones or would you rather have Dennis Jenkins? I know Jenkins been playing good. I think I'd still rather have Trey Jones.
Yeah,
that's a good question.
I agree with you. Like I think he could do this on another team, because if you look at Trey Jones's play style, it's relying a lot less on flash and more on fundamental basketball. I mean, anytime that man is at top of the key and goes on the drive, he just lays it in, just a normal run-of-the-mill lay-in. He doesn't need to go up flashy. He doesn't need to come off screens. He doesn't have to rely on other players. Like, he is the facilitator to that offense and defense. Arguably, he was leading the league. He was leading the team in steals there for a while. I mean, I feel like Trey Jones, depending on the team, like Justin said, depending on the team, he could definitely survive, and he would stand out that much more because he's doing it on a more successful team. The only reason why he's not catching any fame on the Bulls is exactly like you gentlemen said, because we're a subpar team, and he's creating points on a subpar team. But if you look at Trey Jones's play style, like I said, it's nothing spectacular. It's just good fundamental basketball, and good fundamental basketball trumps any sort of flash any day. The flash will get noticed, but the fundamental basketball will get you the outcome.
So do you guys, I know, shout out to our guy Kelder. His name, and if you guys know Kelder on Twitter, he's the Educator23. He's been writing for Razzball. I think his other account, well, that's the account that matters, Educator23. But in our Discord, his name is Kelder is always right. So all year, Kelder would be telling people, I don't know if he was trolling or not. It's hard to tell with him sometimes, but he likes to rile guys up. And all year he was saying Trey Jones is better than Giddey. And Kelder gets pushed back for waking up and breathing. So I'm going to make sure to clip this part of the show for him, because we got our guy Mark K in the comments saying, coughs, Trey Jones is better than Giddey, coughs. Gentlemen, I mean, how do we feel about that? Because I think, was it you, Justin? Like, you just brought up, like, on one of your posts, it was recently, right? Like, you guys are talking about, like, whether Giddey can actually lead to winning, like, instead of a dude like Kobe or Iowa, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it depends on what your definition of better is. Like,
right.
Obviously, Trey Jones is never going to have 22 point, 10 rebound, 8 assist games. That's not. He's never. If your definition of better is guy who's going to get you the better numbers, then no, Trey Jones is never going to be better.
Giddey will always hit numbers.
Yeah, if your definition of better is guy who can excel at his role on a playoff team in a winning environment, then you might have a case. Like, the conversation that's driven me the craziest this year is who's the best point guard on the team, because it's so subjective and it depends what you're looking for. I think Trey Jones is a better game manager than Josh Giddey is. He's much more of like a throwback, like a guy like Mike Conley always managed the game, even though he wouldn't average like 12 assists a game or 10 assists. He'd be right around like 6, 7, 8 on a high year because the ball wasn't in his hands as much. He was managing the game and making sure guys were getting the ball when they needed to. That's the kind of point guard Trey Jones kind of is. He's not a high usage, everything. The offense is going to funnel through him the way Josh Giddey's does. So it's a nuanced question. It just depends what you kind of value more. Personally, I value more of the game manager, the guy who's going to control the pace of the game and make sure, like a guy like Trey Jones, he's going to be playing a game and he's going to be like, Modest hasn't touched the ball in 4 possessions. Let me make sure I feed him. Or Yabusele hasn't touched the ball. Let me make sure we run a pick and roll through him. Like, that's his mentality, where I don't necessarily know if Josh Giddey does that.
Really good points.
If you could do, if you could fuse them into one player, that would be a hell of a point guard, because the way Trey Jones scores, like, pretty decently for a guy shooting 32% from 3 this year, compared to the improvements Josh has made as a shooter from 3, would be really interesting, because I'm always so impressed how Trey gets to the rim and converts at a high level. Something that I think Giddey and Matas would both really benefit from, like finishing just at a better rate once you get to the rim. I think Trey would do it on any team this year, because I think he's just having a career year. He is playing a lot. He's played this many minutes, I think a few other times, but for me, it's the free throws. I think last year he was getting like 1.5 free throws per game. This year he's up to 3.3. So you're talking about pretty much doubling the amount he's getting to the free throw line. He's just a more aggressive player. A big part of that is Billy empowering him with the Bulls kind of not having a lot of options. But I think he's playing well enough to where in training camp with another roster, he would be the go-to backup point guard. For instance, if he was in Houston, I think you would see Trey Jones playing a lot of the minutes that Reed Shepherd or a guy like Aaron Holiday was getting, just because, like Justin touched on, his one trump card over Giddey, besides the finishing, is the fact that he's not going to turn the ball over at all and still can get you those gaudy assist numbers. But I think this year, the way Giddey's rebounding the ball, which is something our guy Kelder always liked to bring up as kind of an empty stat, it's really changed a lot for him because it's not empty. Giddey's contributions to defense is he's going to get the damn ball off the glass and he's going to push it in transition. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as he's given effort, because he kind of, more than any young player I've ever talked to, Giddey understands the limitations of his game, which is why I think he is going to end up reaching whatever his ceiling is. I don't think there's going to be any ounce of potential left when Giddey's all said and done. I think he's going to get to whatever his ceiling is. I'm just not sure if it's quite as high as some people would want, but I think there's still a little bit more there. And I do just want to comment. I saw one of our comments says, I watched most of the Bulls game the other night without realizing Giddey was playing. I hate to burst the bubble. Giddey was not playing. If it's the game it is Miss O. Yeah, so Giddey was out. I'm not sure if he was hurt for real, if it was just taking purposes, but that just made me laugh because I was like,
she said she went to the locked in factory and they didn't know Giddey's name. He wasn't at the locked in factory for that shit. So. Oh, this is a really good question from AD. So shout out to a local Bulls fan. You ain't no local Bulls fan, man. That's Alejandro Delgado from OnTap. That's, he's the one that got these two on OnTap, so shout out to Bulls OnTap and Alejandro. He got me on OnTap, but that's AD. So he said, who is better for Modest's development, Giddey or Trey? Giddey, right?
Giddey. I'm gonna go the other way.
Yeah, that's tough because like Trey.
I'm going the other way.
Yeah, why so?
Because I've seen more sets where Trey and Modest are playing like two-man action together. Giddey and Modest don't really have a two-man game. Like their on-court chemistry. I mean, Modest, the production he gets off Giddey right now is like catch and shoot threes. We're not really seeing him when Modest is cutting. It's not Giddey finding him. It's usually Trey Jones with those pocket passes finding him when he's cutting to the hoop.
Yeah. Yeah, because everything they do is on the fast break with Giddey and Modest.
Yeah. I'm going to say the same, though. I'm going to say, Giddey is probably better for Modest, but I'll throw this at you. I think Trey Jones would be better for developing a Rob Dillingham. I feel like Rob Dillingham under Trey would be a lot more successful than a Rob Dillingham under Josh Giddey. I think that if given the opportunity under Trey Jones, you'd see a huge improvement in Rob Dillingham's game. He's already been shown the speed. I mean, if you look at it, they both have the speed. I mean, I will argue that let's face it, they're probably about the same 3-point shooting wise, because I know Rob Dillingham is
Trey Jones runs that motherfucker right here.
Yeah. I know Trey's been lacing it lately, and Rob Dillingham has been lacing it lately, but I mean, just the speed. I mean, it doesn't seem like that's Josh Giddey's forte is the speed. It's more of the get the ball to the man who can score, where Trey Jones could take Rob Dillingham and you'd see just those two go from one end of the court to the other in a split second.
That's true. Yeah, that's tough, man. I feel like, to your point, like Rob Dillingham will learn a lot from Trey Jones, because like that's what impresses me the most about Trey Jones, man. It's just he plays so much bigger than what he is. He caught me off guard. I thought it was a fluke to start the year off when he was going into the paint. Like at one point, I think he scored the majority of our paint points a lot of times and a lot of games at the start of the season. And I thought it was a fluke. But no, that's just his game. Like he plays big, he bodies up, he gets to the rack, So like I feel like Rob Dillingham could learn a lot from that. Like, to ask a dude like Trey Jones, how do you operate on the court so big and you're so small? And he's slower than Dillingham, which is not saying a lot because Trey Jones is fast, but Dillingham's a blur. So maybe he will learn how to play under more control from Trey Jones. But I don't know, man. It's tough because, to Justin's point, I feel like Trey Jones could maybe teach Modest how to operate better on a full scale on the full court, because he's a better half court playmaker. He's a floor general. Whereas, a lot of Giddey's playmaking, man, it comes from, dare I say, gimmicky playmaking. Like it's all fast break shit, So, excuse me, it's all fast break stuff. So That's a really good question, though, man. I don't know. It's hard but also Giddey adds so much more than just that playmaking. Like you said, like his rebounds. That to me factors into playmaking as well because it resets everything if you're crashing the boards, and he does affect the game in a lot of ways. Giddey does, especially with his sides alone. So that's a good question. It's hard. That's a good
I
question.
would
Though.
still lean Giddey just because I think ultimately the Bulls played too small through most of the Billy era.
Yeah.
And I think the solution to them being a good team again is going to be flipping that and going the other way, a bigger version of Billy Ball. And I think going Giddey over Trey leans into that just because obviously, sort of what Justin talked about, Trey will be someone in the playoffs. You're going to pick on him if he's on the court. Process of elimination, you're just going to try to get him on whoever's your best scorer and try to work that. When Giddey's your weakest defender on the floor, or let's just say if Giddey was your weakest defender on the floor, a little bit harder when that guy is 6'7", even if he's an awful defender, just from the fact that, again, he has some height, he can put his arms up, he can try, he can give better effort there. And the biggest thing is I think the Bulls, again, I always say they need to be like the Celtics. Everyone needs to be like the Celtics. You get two wings, and you can build your team, reconfigure it for years, and be good pretty much around those two wings. I think the Bulls have one in Matas, and they need to find the other one. But as Giddey gets older and bulks up, I think there is a world where Giddey is the second wing. And again, Giddey and Matas are your wing players, and depending on what you do in the next drafts in terms of getting a Darius Acuff, a Kingston Fleming, some of these point guards who people worry about fitting next to Giddey. I think there's a world where Giddey just isn't the point guard. And again, with Giddey and Matas on your wings, now you have a ton of ball handling and playmaking between Giddey, Matas, and whoever is the actual point guard. So I think no matter what, you got to stick with Giddey because, again, you sign him to a great deal. You're building the ship out of Giddey for right now until you see a better option, I would say. So Trey definitely excellent, but I think Trey is just always going to be that steady the ship type guy who, again, it's more of a luxury for the Bulls because they honestly need that more high ceiling type variance that Dillingham can give you. So Trey Jones is a luxury for the Bulls, but I think it's still a good luxury to have. I would still work on probably trading him in the offseason, but I understand if Billy Donovan is around, that probably will not be the case.
Yeah. This is a good point too by AD. I love that. Because that's always one of my least favorite things. It's like when guys try to limit Giddey to only being he's a point guard, and if you move off him, that's stupid. No, like we talked about a couple episodes ago, that's what speaks to Giddey's game is that no, man, he's 6'8", he's a big body, and he can play more than one position. You could stick him off on the wing, and he can play off the ball and still make off the ball, especially further down in his career as he develops and just builds his frame out, gets stronger, gets craftier. He could be a good playmaking wing off to the side. Like put him at the 3, and he's still doing the same things for you, which would be kind of nasty, you know? So, yeah, good point, AD. I think we touched on this.
It's one of those things why I like Billy coaching Matas as well. Something I feel like people don't give him enough credit for is what you just said, Guilty, which is not limiting him to what he can be, putting him in a box. One of the post-game press conferences from a game I covered, I remember it stood out to me that Billy said he thinks Matas would be really good playing some shooting guard. Like legitimately, Billy was like, I would love to play Matas at the 2 more. Because I think he can play make there. I like seeing him in pick and roll actions. And it's one of those things where I think it kind of got glossed over. But again, for people who think Billy kind of holds young players back, this year is more of an example than ever that Matas is growing his game and getting very aggressive as a first scoring option because Billy's saying, hey, this is what the management did with the roster. So now you are the guy I'm depending on. This is what it looks like when you're dependent on to shoot 20 plus field goals a night. So I think, again, like Matas and Giddey, the numbers right now might not be great for them as a pairing, but I think over the years, as we kind of reconfigure the pieces, that's going to be a very good duo. So I'm excited about it, mostly just the fact that you know you're going to rebound with Giddey out there, which covers for Matas, who isn't as good of a rebounder as you would want for someone with his size. So I think they kind of cover each other's weaknesses, and then at the same time, they just work together well offensively, even though, as Justin touched, we don't see that synergy as much. But I think the fact that they can both handle and the Giddey and they both can catch and shoot makes them a good enough fit to, again, just keep building around this until you see a different direction to go.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, definitely agree. I just want to touch on something Sal said too. It got me thinking because you were saying Trey Jones could be a really good mentor for Rob Dillingham. And it got me thinking, like, the thing that I like about Trey Jones and the thing that I love about Ayo Dosunmu, and I was telling Timberwolves fans you're going to love about Ayo Dosunmu too, is there's no dancing. He's not going east and west. When he gets the ball, it's straight line drive. The fastest way from point A to point B is just right down the middle. if Rob Dillingham could learn that, if he could just use his speed and just go, because Rob Dillingham dances a lot with the ball right now. If Trey Jones can teach him that, man, we could actually have a very effective piece off the bench with Rob Dillingham. That's the thing I would love to see from him. So shout out to Sal. That's a good point that he could do some mentoring for Rob Dillingham.
Yeah. And at the same time, we got to also remember sometimes a player is just excelling at his job. Like, to throwing it back to, like, is the Trey better than Josh Giddey? Or is it that Trey is just really good at being a backup point guard? You know, there's a big difference between stepping into the starting position and taking the reins of a team and being the guy on the off the bench for the second unit with, you know, the bench out there. So we also got to take that with there's nothing wrong with being the best second man off the bench, but how to say that he's better than, you know, somebody who's a starter, almost averaging triple doubles here and there. Oh, and about 6 inches and 20 pounds heavier than him. It's a bit of a stretch. That's all I'm going to say. Both phenomenal players, but we also got to keep that in consideration, because if you're Bears fans, like Bears fans, we're guilty of this. How many times have the backup quarterback come in for the Bears and we're like, he throws 2 completions and we're like, oh, he needs to start. Jay Cutler's got to go. He needs to start. You know, how many times has that happened? So, like, you know, just accept the fact that he's a very good backup point guard. And if he can teach Rob Dillingham to be equally as good of a backup point guard, we have good youth going forward for the future.
That's facts.
And it's one of those things where I don't see a world where the Ayo Dosunmu trade ever becomes like a win-win for both sides. But it would be a hell of a comeback for the Bulls if Leonard Miller and Dillingham both turned into starters, let's just say, or at least great rotation pieces. And you could look at that trade as a bit of a win, because at the time I thought it was easily the worst, you know, move you could make. I still didn't really understand it, just because when you're tearing it down, I don't think Ayo Dosunmu was a good player. I don't think he was so good that the Bulls were winning an additional 10 games by keeping him on the roster. So I assume it was just they didn't want to pay whatever they thought his next contract demands were going to be. But even that doesn't make sense to me, seeing as the team seemingly is going to have some money. So it's one of those things where it really would be awesome if Dillingham and Miller could become the type of players that makes that trade a wash. It's just tough to see it. But I do want to give a shout out to Dillingham. You guys, I think, all touched on it. He's been shooting a little bit better from 3. Not good, better for him. I think he's at 34% over his last 10 games. So it's a start. I really would love to just see him playing a lot more. I mean, at this point, we'll see it because there's not that many games left. But him shooting the 3 would really open up a lot, because he is so fast getting to the rim. So I have high hopes for him. I would love if Billy stayed, because I think that's the right coach for him. And I think things could get very spooky for the young guys on the roster if Billy is on his way out, because I just have no confidence in sort of the coaching search, because I've seen a few of those in Chicago.
Yeah, speaking of that too, like, how do you guys feel about this question right here? So they said, with Ayo rebounding like crazy in Minnesota, do you think that Modest's rebounding is poor by design? Is that a Billy Donovan scheming problem, guys?
I think it's strictly a personnel problem. Like, it's really easy to get rebounds when you got Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle and Jaden McDaniels boxing out for you and contesting shots and forcing guys into bad shots. Like, his rebounding opportunities are just far more present. So that's what I would chalk it up to, honestly.
Yeah.
And also, when you're Matas Buzelis running around to block every single shot for your team because you're the only guy blocking shots, very much hard to secure the board. So I would say for him in Chicago, that's a massive part of it for him.
Yeah. So we have Steven, shout out to, I don't know if I'm saying your name right, brother, Stephen Magoni, Stephen Majoni, Mike Wazowski, but regardless, he said we need to bring Ayo back. And he also said earlier, he said that we need AJ DeBansta. Let's get AJ DeBansta, but let's also get Caleb Wilson. So Steven, I hear you, brother, but no, shout out to him. He said let's get Ayo back, and Gavin said the Bulls traded Ayo because they knew that he would come back in free agency. Trust. Man, let that man go.
Put that to bed, though. Can we put the Ayo Dosunmu thing to bed, man? Because, like, I see this every day on Twitter. People are like, oh, we should re-sign Ayo in the offseason. The Wolves can't pay him. One, the Wolves can pay him. They have his bird rights. They traded for him for a reason. And by all accounts, they'd been targeting him for a while. So, and if you're Ayo Dosunmu, man, in what world are you going to go to Minnesota, experience playoff success, experience what it's like to not only play with a superstar in Anthony Edwards, but a legitimate big man in Rudy Gobert who's going to have your back when you get beat on defense? why would you go play in Chicago? That'd be like you were dating a girl who was crazy and keyed your car, and then you lucked into a supermodel who cooked you dinner every night. But then you decide like, oh, I'm gonna go back to the girl who keyed my car. It would make no sense.
Some dudes would. Hey, some dudes would.
Hey.
Some dudes missed it crazy.
I don't think I would assume it was that kind of crazy.
No, Io is real, man. Like, to your point too, I never thought about that. Like, imagine going from having Vooch, you know, and look, I'm not trying to harp on you, Vooch. We love you, Vooch. You know, you just weren't in the right position here. But regardless, imagine going from having your line of defense being Vooch to being Rudy Gobert. Like, you're not coming back here, man. You're gonna love us from afar, and we need to let him go. We were just talking about it this morning. I think they said, like, just seeing him over there in Minnesota, he just had like 18 and 15 and 10 or something like that the other night. Like, dude, you love to hear it from Io, man.
I think my favorite part of it is the people who like, but he's a true Chicagoan, you know, he's from Chicago, you know, Morgan Park. And I'm like, well, you guys know he is rich. Like, he can visit all the time, like anytime, actually. Like, you can just take a private jet right now and go visit it and go back.
Oh, man.
I always love that. It's like
That's
from
amazing.
here. It's like, yeah, I think that matters a little bit less than you guys would think at this stage. So
that's too funny. Oh, man.
At the end of the day, man, just let the man, if we love the man so much, if he represents
exactly,
Chicago, man, let the man go on to bigger and better things, man. Let's not keep holding him back just to be in the play-in, just to say that we have Io DeSumo, man.
Just to have him be miserable with us.
Exactly. Let that man move on to, what's that phrase? You know, if you love something, let it go.
Let it go,
it's
man.
Not coming back, but just wish nothing but the best for it. You know.
Yeah.
It's a good thing because we can cheer for Io DeSumo winning games now.
Yes. He deserves it, man.
Yes.
He literally, I feel like Io was born to contribute to a winning team and make winning plays. That's all he does. Io is one of the realest, like, he's of that D Rose mold, man. Just that quiet killer, man. Just, you know, he puts the team above himself. Like, I remember seeing him, I think either his rookie or his second year. He was out there calming DeMar down. I'll never forget that. DeMar would lose his temper, and Io, being as young as he was, Io was the one that stepped up and would be like, hey, like, he would pull DeMar back and, like, tell him to calm down, and DeMar would. It just speaks to, like, Io he's a real one. You know what I mean? So, like, that dude deserves to go play where his winning tendencies, man, they don't go unrewarded. You know what I mean? You sticking him over here, it's like, for what, man? You wasting that boy career. Let him go over there with Minnesota and chase something for real. So I'm happy for Io.
And I really hope Minnesota wins the title, because I think there's a small chance that AK is working on some real big brain stuff out of the box here, where trades Alex Caruso to OKC, they win the championship. Trades Io DeSumo to Minnesota, they win the championship. AK is the championship maker. All of a sudden, this offseason, phone's ringing off the hook. AK is like, now everybody wants to trade with me. I'm king of championships for other teams over here.
That's
so if Minnesota wins the championship, I think teams are like, maybe we should call the Bulls about some of their players, because there might be something going on here. So who knows? Maybe the Bulls are a hot trade destination.
The team should be calling the Bulls, because you can get our good players for nothing. Why would you not call the Bulls? You can get our good players for second round picks.
No, Justin, that's dishonest. That's a dishonest.
It's so dishonest, but
you know, man, you calling out the facts is so dishonest right now, brother.
Like, shout out to Betsy Cash Money. I think we all follow her on Twitter, but she's pointed out consistently, like, you can be mad at the Bulls for giving up Io DeSumo for so little, but really we should be looking at every other team in the NBA and being like, why weren't you guys offering more for Io DeSumo? Like, the other playoff teams, the Detroit Pistons, the Orlando Magic, all these teams that need point guards, the Houston Rockets. You guys could have had Io DeSumo for next to nothing, man. You just had the top 4 second-round picks that are all most likely going to be in the 50s. That shouldn't have been that hard of an offer to top.
Yeah.
Well, then that comes back to the elephant in the room, which is, what are the Bulls looking for in trades, which I think is the most interesting thing going in the league right now.
You see what Gavin said to you? He said, counterpoint, Mike, AK trades Kobe to the Hornets, and they win the championship.
Hey, I would love that.
I would love that.
A Hornets Timberwolves finals? Let's go.
If that happens, I'm asking AK who's winning the next Super Bowl, what the Powerball numbers. I need all of that if that's the case. So I hope the Hornets do that.
That's amazing.
Someone said AK holds the nuclear codes. I'm convinced. I just want to shout that out because I did not say that. That was from this guy who
SRT Raider. It looks like Alejandro. Alejandro said you're a liar, Justin. You're dishonest.
I can't help it, man. I got narratives to push.
Man. What'd you say the other day? I think it was yesterday. And somebody got at you talking about, isn't this just March Hughes? You said, well, it's April 1st, bro. So
yeah. I mean, it's like, these aren't March numbers. I'm like, it's literally April 1st, man. Like, what do you want me to do? And then he told me I was pushing narratives. And I was like, I'm just telling you the calendar turned and it's April 1st, man.
That's it. That's the narrative now. That's too good, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the state of the world right now. I remember during that losing streak, it's like, man, the Bulls have lost like 13 straight games. It's like, here comes Michael spitting his negativity. It's literally just reading. I was just reading the schedule. I didn't mean to rile you up. I'm sorry, but it's a touchy time in Bulls Nation right now. But I'm telling you, once that lottery comes around, it's going to be all smiling faces. I think Adam Silver owes the Chicago market at least one. I know he would say in 2020, I tried to give you guys one, but we just one more, and this time we'll get it right, I think.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I hope so. It's long overdue.
Someone said I'm going to save the heartbreak for when the Bulls take JT Top.
I've been seeing his name a lot. But he's like a second rounder kind of a dude, right?
Yeah.
I just appreciate the random shout. I'm like, whoever this guy is locked in on some.
Yeah, they're locked in. They're locked in, man. All right, gentlemen. We're coming up on an hour here. Mike, did you have anything else for Sal and Justin?
Oh man, just thanking you guys for hopping on short notice to talk some Bulls. We've really been having a good thing going, and I was really hoping you guys would come on. I really enjoy both of you guys' work. And Sal, who I wasn't as familiar with, I agree. Someone earlier had a comment. I want Sal to narrate my life, and I was I kind of see where they're coming from after putting on the old headphones. I was like, I get it. So yeah, I just appreciate you guys hopping on, man.
Absolutely.
Right. If you would imagine, I told Duncan, because he said that to me in a DM one day. I told Duncan, I'm like, man, if you would know how self-conscious I was about my voice before I started this show, I almost didn't do it, because like, you ever make a recording of yourself that you're going to send to someone, you're like, man, I sound like a dork. like that was me. Like, we listened to our first episode of Horns was a trial run, and I'm listening to it and I'm listening to myself. I'm like, man, I sound like a dork. This show is going to go nowhere. Like, this will be like one and done recording, fast forward 3 years and 80 something episodes later. And I'm getting complimented of something that I was self-conscious about. So
that's amazing, man. Yeah. It's just funny how time will show you that. No, like truly, man. And like they said in the comments too, man, like, you're just one of the best dudes in the community. Both of you are. That's why like this episode, man, it was just nice to have this episode. Like we've been saying, amidst all the craziness this season, just all the arguing and just the bites it takes, all the passion. We chalk it up to passion, but it was nice just to be able to sit down with just two of the more level-headed people in the fan base, man, and people who really just love the game. Like Justin, you love the game, man. Like, you love the game, dude. Before the show, I talked about it. Just how every post that you do, it's meant for conversation. Like, you spark up great conversation amongst the fan base. We just talk ball for real. And Sal, like, it's the same, man. Like, you just love to talk ball. I love talking ball with you. And y'all know how I feel about Mike. So it was really nice to have you two come on with us, man. Seriously. I needed it. My brain needed it. It's been a hell of a season.
Appreciate you.
Before we go, though, I wanna get your guys' opinion on this. Do you guys think this has been one of the, especially with the news in the last week, you think this has been one of the most, I don't know if embarrassing is the right word or what, but just like it's the craziest Bulls season that I've experienced maybe ever. We have a 5-0 start. People's hopes are up. Then we crashed down a little bit. Then we rebounded a little bit in the middle there. And then we have a trade deadline that everybody hates. And then all of a sudden the Jaden Ivey news, like, now we're getting the worst kind of people on social media coming at the Chicago Bulls and pushing weird narratives. Like, this has been, objectively speaking, this has been an insane Bulls season, and I'm ready for it to be over, man. Not that I don't love the Bulls. I still enjoy watching them even when they're dog shit, but it's been a crazy season, man. I'm ready for it to be over.
I would agree. I would say eventful would probably be the word I would use. I would say, like, off the top of my head, like, first of all, this season feels like I said it earlier, like 3 to 4 different seasons, like 3 different rosters, teams, like from the beginning of the year till now. The G League guys coming up and down with Yuki and Mac, obviously the Ivy situation. I think the only thing it comes close to, at least in my time off the top of my head, is the 3 alphas. It gave me the vibes of that year, how it was just like, man, these stories I'm following are a lot less about on the court than I ever remember with the Bulls. Like, it was a lot of, is Rondo helping the young guys, and Wade and Jimmy hate the young guys, and do they all get along? Who will be on the team? So thankfully now it's not as contentious between the players. It seems like it's more just things happening. But yeah, I would agree with you, man. It's definitely one of the more eventful seasons I can remember. I wouldn't say embarrassing, just because weirdly I feel like the Bulls have flew under the radar nationally to where when I hear people bring them up, they're talking about things that happened in October still. So I think they got a little lucky with this. LeBron and some other people making comments that are drawing a little heat off them these days. So I would say one of the craziest, but maybe number 2 for me. Number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to SRT Raider, man. He's been killing it in the comments. AD, I told him, I thought this was you wearing a Batman mask, but it ain't AD, I don't think. But he said, speaking to Justin's point, man, just about it being a crazy season, they said Artūras and Marc been fornicating the city of Chicago. Unrighteous. It's been an unrighteous season. I think if we had to use one word to describe this season, it's been unrighteous. Unrighteous.
Well, here, I'll ask you the same question. Do you think that the mentality of the Bulls fan base would have been different if we started the season 0-5 as opposed to 5-0? Because I believe starting that season off 5-0 kind of bestowed a little bit of false hope in the community. And then if we would have started off 0-5, I would have believed people would have been like, just the Bulls be doing the Bulls things.
Yeah.
So do you think that starting the season off hot like that helped facilitate these roller coaster of emotion? I like that.
You might be onto something, Sal.
Yeah,
you might
you
be
see
onto
AD.
something. Because
You know what I
like
mean?
the optimist, like the people, like all off season, I was having the same arguments with people that I'm having right now. People who are saying we're not that far away. So I think the 5-0 start just caused them to dig their heels into the ground a little further, and because it made them think like I'm right. And even to this day, even though we've been terrible ever since, they still can't get that 5-0 start out of their heads. So
No.
if we'd started 0-5, there might be some more peace in these Chicago Bulls streets. We might not have Chicago Bulls Twitter wars going on right now.
Yeah, it's been such a crazy season. I kind of forgot about the 5-0 start. And honestly, I remember a big part of that was Kobe White being out and people going, wait a minute, the Bulls have figured something out. Kobe White is the person bringing this whole team down. You take him out and the Bulls are a winning team. So I think Sal's on to something, because I think if you start off 0-5, fans kind of come to the conclusion to maybe the Bulls should tear things down, which is what ended up happening anyway, which is what most could see that's where things were going to head naturally. But I think fans would have been a little bit more accepting of what happened at the trade deadline if they started 0-5 for sure. So that's a great point, Sal, because I completely forgot about that hot start.
It is a good point, too, because I know, like, we have a certain person that everybody knows. I won't say the name, but, like, that's one of their favorite things to say, too, is, oh, like, it's dishonest to say that the Bulls are bad because we're only bad because of the injuries that happened. It's not, come on, man. Like, it's not the injuries that derailed this team. It's the talent, you know? So, I mean, but then again, who knows? Like, how would we have looked if we were fully healthy all year? But what team is never fully healthy all year?
No.
Yeah,
that's a
injuries
huge
happen
year.
All 32 teams. Every team has injuries, you know. Because then throwing it back, like, how would we have looked in that 21 season if Lonzo never got hurt? If injuries weren't a case back then, how would we have looked then? Because we were on a crash course to turn some heads.
I mean, look at the Detroit Pistons. Cade Cunningham's been out for like 2 weeks. They have a winning record in the last 2 weeks that he's missed. Like, every team has injuries, especially this year. The Bulls are the only team that the injuries just completely derailed them. And we're talking about Cade Cunningham here. I'm having, the dude that you're referencing, he's talking about Isaac Okoro. Like, what are we doing, man?
Yeah, Isaac Okoro is crazy. Oh, my God. Yeah, I know, man.
If you say Isaac Okoro 2 more times, you will summon C Red Fred. I was
about to say, yeah.
About that.
And it's thundering outside, too. I don't got no time for the C-Red Fred smoke. Shout out to C-Red Fred.
Oh,
we just DM'd him earlier today, so we had somebody in the Discord say, hey, is C-Red Fred here? And I said, well, he used to be. I'm like, why? He said, he just quote tweeted a Patrick Williams tweet of mine from 2023 and then blocked me. So shout out to C. Ray Fred. He's had enough of the Patrick Williams discourse this year. I don't blame him, man.
Man, I love this version of C. Red Fred that we're getting, because when he's critical of the Bulls, he's so good, because he's just like, he's critical of them and he has a point. And he has the data to back it up. Like it's been awesome to see the last like 2 weeks or so since he kind of turned his back on them, because if you know Fred at all, he's one of the more optimistic Bulls fans. So he finally broke, and it's beautiful to see.
It is beautiful, man. Welcome to the realistic side. Oh man, it's good to see.
It's good to see. It's been a crazy year, but and the Ivy thing has made it even more crazy. But I got to give Ivy a little bit of a shout out here. He's responsible for the funniest moments in Bulls fandom in a long time. I mean, it's
easily
a lot of it's not a joking matter, but the clip of him dribbling the ball and just, Ben Stiller
literally my favorite,
just whipping that dude in the face. My favorite clip of the year, maybe my favorite Bulls clip of like the last 10 years.
We talked about
what was
the Torrey Craig one?
Man, yeah, it's like right up there with that, because he just like, what were you doing, man? You're like dribbling and you're kind of hesitating, and then you're like, bam, just
we talked about that on Twitter. I was covering that game live. That was versus the Nuggets, I'm pretty sure. And I was sitting next to some great Serbian reporters. Shout out Serbian TV. But that clip, like he's like motioning to like Trey Jones or somebody, like cut. And he's like motioning so hard. I'm like, whoa, Ivy's about to throw a dime. Like I'm like, I can't wait to see this pass. And he just fires it, and someone, I think Julian Strother or something, like throws it at a guy on the Nuggets. Even he didn't know what was going on. Like, I'll never forget. Live, I legitimately think I spit out water, almost like blew up the entire United Center, like water on cords and shit. Like it was, I'll never forget that moment for as long.
Maybe they were sinners. Maybe he was trying to tell them they're unrighteous.
I mean, the jokes too, man. Like I'm gonna use Judgment Day for years. Like anytime somebody comes at me, I'm gonna be like, "This ain't gonna matter on Judgment Day." Like that's gonna be my go-to comeback for years now.
Oh, when the Bulls don't move up in the lottery, like when they stay at 9th, get ready for me to say the NBA draft lottery will not matter on Judgment Day. That tweet is queued up and ready. So get ready.
Have you guys seen the clip from Jeff Teague's podcast when they're talking about the Jaden Ivey tweets?
No,
from the 520 show. Oh man, the one guy is like legitimately crying. He can't get words out. I think it's B.
All he's doing is just like reading the quotes and just dying laughing. And oh man, it's such a funny clip.
He tried to read the quote Ivy had about Steph Curry, and I legitimately thought he was going to die. I was so scared. He was laughing so hard. But I mean, as Guilty said, shout out to him. Obviously, hope whatever's going on. He can find these basketball is not his concern right now, so I hope he just focuses on him. But of all the teams for that to happen, the Bulls are definitely one of the more, I would say, buttoned up and quiet organizations to have something like this happen. So I'm sure it was a little bit of a shell shock to them as well.
Yeah. I mean, one last joke to get off. Did you hear, like, I think Kat had an interview last night, and then somebody in the background, I think they said, that's unrighteous.
Josh Hart. Yeah.
So I mean, shout out to the kid, but like at this point, hey, he gave us some great content. That's an ongoing joke for a while now, man. The Bulls ain't gonna matter on Judgment Day. I mean, like I think the first comment that I saw from him was like some kid reached out to him on Instagram, and he was like, "Hey, man, like shout out to you." Like he was like giving Jaden Ivey a compliment, like I pray for you, and he said, God doesn't hear your prayers because you're a sinner. I'm like, all right, gang. I'm gonna start using that for everything else too. When people start talking to me, the bill collector is like, hey, God doesn't hear your bill collecting. You feel me? That's amazing, man.
Hell yeah.
That's why you got to do your homework. So we'll see the Bulls' next acquisition and how that works out. But you got to do your homework, man, because the fact that a lot of teams and reporters are saying this isn't a shock or they saw that coming, that's a little bit of a red flag. You got to do your homework. So we'll see how this comes with the scouting future prospects and whatnot. But everything matters when you're scouting these guys.
Now just imagine they use that cap space to go sign Jonathan Isaac now. Just imagine that they go from Jaden Ivey to Jonathan Isaac.
Quite legitimately, no comment. Like the lack of comments I have is crazy. It's wild.
I was gonna ask, Mike, did you ask? Because that leads into a good point though. Like the off season, like is there any like how would you guys handle this off season? We got like a few more minutes here, but like, where do you take it from here in the offseason to cure this franchise, or at least start trying to? Obviously, a big man, I would say. Walker Kessler. There's a plethora of dudes out there right now.
I did a pod the other day where I just went like 10 under the radar guys, like guys who are on two-way deals right now or the end of their rookie deal, like guys you're not thinking of. Like Ron Harper Jr. was a name that I was a big fan of just because he's doing big things in Boston right now in limited minutes. But the point of that was I feel like this Bulls team needs to establish an identity. They need to establish some toughness. They need to get a defensive identity first and foremost. Like Isaac Okoro is nice, but he can't be your only perimeter defender, your only tough guy. So as far as like when people talk about Walker Kessler, Tari Eason, the big name free agent stuff like that, I'm a little less high on them because of Walker Kessler's durability. Tari Eason can't shoot a basketball to save his life. For me, it's like build through the draft and then start trying to win on the margins. The OKC Thunder, they're so good because they win on the margins. You've seen the Spurs recent years, they're starting to win on the margins too. Like build through the draft and go like try to do some deep scouting, look at some of these guys and just try to win on the margins.
Absolutely. Sal?
My answer is going to be a little bit more controversial, but
nice. No, good.
Here's what I'm doing. From the final whistle of the last game, if I'm AK, I'm taking a seat in that empty stadium and I'm looking up at that scoreboard and I'm watching my career flash before my eyes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to think to myself, I'm going to say, is this the product that the city of Chicago deserves? Is this the product that those 6 banners hanging in the rafters has come to be? I'm going top to bottom. I'm evaluating medical staff, why my players are getting so injured all of the time. We've had so many years of consecutive multi-game injuries that it's borderline unacceptable.
Yes.
I'm going to go and evaluate. Is Billy Donovan the coach that I want to usher in this new era of a Bulls rebuild that we're going to do? Or is his coaching tactics just a better fit in a different league or on a different team? Because as we are fans of the team and we've had a lot of patience, we've had almost 30 years since our last ring and our last finals appearance. We deserve better. This is Chicago. Okay.
Yeah,
that's what I'm doing. I'm going out and I'm getting players that are going to help usher in a better future, not just necessarily the players right now. I see a lot of times we try to sign players for the right now, and it ends up backfiring in our face. Yeah, we get a couple stadium fillers. We sign a guy that's going to put butts in seats, which I know makes Jerry Reinsdorf happy. But I'll take this up to his level too. Is Jerry? I know it doesn't really matter because Jerry Reinsdorf is very much a business-oriented owner, not so much a fans-first-oriented owner. But man, take a step back and look at your franchise and what it's become. As you're scrolling through Twitter feed, are you happy seeing your patrons talking about your franchise with your name on it the way they're talking about it? Or do you want something better? I mean, me personally, I've been in the business owning industry alone. I can't stand when somebody's talking negatively about my product. And the first thing I want to do is make that team better to prove these haters wrong.
That's right.
But if you're okay with settling with what we've become, I can't help you.
Damn, Sal, I ain't never heard Sal talk that crazy. Oh, man, I needed it. That's what I'm talking about, Sal. Yeah, it's that damn leather jacket, man. I'm telling you. I feel you. I feel you, man. It was thundering when he was talking, too. You said, if I make y'all look up at that scoreboard and some damn lightning flash, man, hey, I agree, though, man. Like, it's just kind of like we have no pride. Like, it kind of plays into the point, like, I don't think I've laughed this much during the season in a long time. Like, it's getting to the point where you just got to kind of laugh away the pain. But, like, man, I miss having pride in my city, man. I miss having pride in my team. So, like, to your point, man, it just, look, he said, Gavin says, Sal made me leap out of my seat, inspiring. For real. And I miss when our team did that for us, man. Like, I miss when our team, the players on the court, did that. Like, the days of Joakim Noah smacking, like, clapping in LeBron James's face. Getting that steal on Paul Pierce, going full court for a dunk. Like, bring that back to the city, man. Even Jimmy Butler. Like, I was a D Rose dude, and I know, like, we tried to put D Rose and Jimmy Butler against each other, the fans. And I was part of that debate, and I was on D Rose side. But, like, even the days of Jimmy Butler hitting his game winners and beating his chest, talking about they can't F for me. It's just like, it's been a while, man. It's been a long time since I've had true pride in the city and felt like we were one of the more serious teams in the league. We're a joke, we're a joke, and like you're gonna have your fans that try to tell you that everything's okay, but I feel like people who think like that are why things don't get any better. Like you have to get fed up. To your point, Sally, the people in charge need to be sick of themselves. To look in the mirror and be sick of what you're seeing and sick of yourself in order to make those changes. And I feel like, man, like as crazy as it sounds, even this Jaden Ivey situation, like all this tumultuous, chaotic energy, everything's crashing down, and you hope that it kind of forces our hand here. When it's all falling down, the only way up, the only way is up. And like this situation is as crazy as ever. So I would hope that like we take this and turn it around this offseason, man, because what else are we doing at that point if we don't, Yeah. It can't get any worse than this, I would imagine, but it's
Is that a challenge?
Exactly, man.
Don't
I gotta be careful with that dude, man. I don't know. Mike, how you feel about it, man?
I mean, it's one of those things where I think the simplest path to success is the sort of what Justin mentioned, which is just keep going young. It took a while to get to the point where it seems like the entire roster is young. The Bulls should have always been one of the youngest teams in the league in terms of the past several years, or any year post DeMar Caruso team, so to speak. So I think at this point, I really it's a boring answer to almost say do nothing, but I think they almost should do nothing. Like make your draft picks, sign your draft picks, play your draft picks.
That part.
Go into next season and rinse and repeat that same strategy. Then when we get to the 2027 offseason, that's when I think you want to go hunting. Hey, maybe we can add a big name power forward. Maybe we can add that true legit center to sort of bring things together. But I think you almost look at the next two off seasons as one. You just want to add two high value rookie prospects to this team. So you can say, we have these two guys, we have Gideon Buzelis. You are almost there to 5 very good players that you like. And I think that's where you got to start. So I think just focus as hard as you can on scouting. Like, don't even treat the free agency money as anything other than more money to sign undrafted rookies, I would say, is the way I would look at it.
Nice.
Absolutely. I get with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excuse me. There's no reason the Bulls can't find a Ryan Nembhard, stuff like that. Just go for it.
For real though, the margins, man. It's just the margins, we'll know a lot more. We'll know a lot more when we find out what we're picking in the draft and what picks we'll have. That's gonna be, shout out to our guy Rob Antal, always in the chat. He's a man. He's like, this draft in the off season will tell all. Truly, like. I will placate to the fans who say like we're closer than we seem. We can be if we have a good offseason. If we have a good offseason, and to your point, Mike, like it's just the moves on the margin. I think we're only just nervous, obviously, because of the person who's making these moves on the margin. I mean, like we talked about earlier, Billy Donovan himself is at the point where he's openly saying, "Man, let me know what's up." Like when you got Billy Donovan saying like, man, look, we're going to have a talk, before we move forward. Like he's got to tell me what the plan is. Mm-hmm. Man, we got to see. But it kind of feels like no matter where we pick, we're going to be at least top 10, I would imagine, in the first pick. You can't mess this draft up. Like there's too many good players, man. There's too many good players for us. But then again, like you guys said, is that a challenge? It's AK. So I don't want to say he can't do anything, but man, we can be more competent a lot quicker than people think, I feel like.
Yeah. The one thing about like the Chicago Bulls drafting lately is, the higher up you pick, it's always fun counting how many better players behind you that the Chicago Bulls drafted. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I know. That's a common theme. This dude Gavin is in the look. This is what our season has become. This is Gavin Dorsey. He's the one in charge of us at Roundtable. Yeah. He's at the games he's a credential member. This man talking about fully embrace the chaos, use every drop of the cap space on the LeBron farewell tour. I'm sure Reese will love that. Giddy,
Let's do
Trey,
it.
Brian, modest, rookie center. Defense is overrated anyway. Now you sound like you, Mike. You want to go full offense.
Hey, let's do it.
Steve Nash didn't
What-
win 2 MVPs getting down in the stands, guys. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
What number is LeBron gonna wear? Because 23 is off the
Oh.
table and 6 is retired league wide. So where's LeBron gonna go number wise? We got to start
That's a
printing
good
them
question.
jerseys.
6 is retired league wide.
I think didn't they do that when Bill Russell
Yeah,
passed?
for Bill Russell, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
I did not know that.
Unless you were wearing it beforehand. So there's like 2 players in the league who still get to wear it.
Wow.
Damn. I had no idea. All right, well, for sure, gentlemen. Well, hey, this was really and see, like, fun facts like that is why it's always cool to talk to Justin, man. I mean, look, the dude's name. Let me take these comments off. His name ain't J Talk Shoots for no reason, man. Like, just the random sports facts. The dude is plugged in and locked in. Like, I had no idea that the number 6 was retired. So, like,
Full
it's
of
just
useless
cool to find
information.
facts like that.
Can't
Dishonest
remember
information.
names or can't
Yeah,
remember
it's-
names or dates or anything remotely important, but useless sports facts, I got you.
Amazing, man. Amazing. I'm here for it. But yeah, man, thank you guys so much for hopping on with us tonight. We'll let you guys get up out of here. We'll have to do a part 2 in the summer. Maybe until
Hell
we
yeah.
find out where we're picking in the draft, we can do a reunion.
For sure.
Live
For sure,
draft
man.
show, live draft lottery
Ooh,
show. That's what we should do. Live draft
yes.
lottery show.
Yes.
I like that. I like
Yes.
that.
That'd be a lot of fun. See me crash out in real time.
We can all crash out together, man.
Yeah.
Or maybe rejoice. Or maybe rejoice. See, look, the dog's getting hype already. Maybe we're gonna rejoice. For sure,
Yeah.
man. I see you, Monk. Shout out to you, Monk, and shout out to you and Ostrich and O. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming out, man. We'll see you guys again soon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
thanks for having us, man.
Appreciate you guys, man.
Absolutely.
Thank you for
Thanks,
having us
guys.
on your platform, talking to your fans, talking Bulls with us. Like, I love talking Bulls, win or lose.
Yeah.
You know me. Like, a good night of talking about the Bulls is better than a day at the office. You know what I'm talking about?
Man, I feel that. I feel that, brother. Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Chad, for coming through, and we'll see you next week. I think next week, Mike and I are still getting the details straight. I think, Mike, you got to let them know what time. So we're going to be having the guys from No Ceilings on Tuesday for a little draft special. So that'll be a good one, but we just got to figure out the time frame. So we'll see you guys back next Tuesday, April 7th, possibly with Tyler Rucker and Tyler Metcalf from No Ceilings. All right. So, yeah, we'll see you guys. Thanks for everything. Until next time.
Peace.
Yes, sure.